magistrate reached a verdict. I have guilty or innocent. Spare me this mockery of justice.
You can feel a change in the air.
Oh, it's an electricity.
Like yeah.
It's like storm clouds are gathering.
Yeah. Hey, did you have all those fucked up storms? Or not fucked up, but I guess, well, we had hail. That's weird.
Oh, we didn't have
hail. Did you
hail.
get any of that?
No, we got some flash lightning, which
right.
Lightning always flashes. So I guess that's
true. Yeah.
Yeah. We had a little, it was definitely like crazy humid and not pleasant for a couple days.
I was reading this story about this. I think it was in British Columbia with the heat dome and the whatnot. Forest fire started. All this smoke came up and it created there was a fancy word for it, but basically like just a smoke cloud that produces lightning, and there were over 700,000 lightning strikes over a 15-hour period.
Wow.
I genuinely, part of me feels foolish for giving that quote because I feel that the internet is trolling me. I didn't fact check that shit. I just looked at it and there was a satellite image and it kind of looked real. And so I accepted it because of its nightmarish. I don't know. I've never heard such a thing. Like that's nightmare. That's wild.
It sounds like you'd be in the presence of gods and like that would happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like
Zool like steps
up.
into the world.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I like that we had the same touch point there.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah. So anyway, okay. Well, I was just wondering about the weather and the whatnot. Otherwise, people like to talk about the weather.
Oh, people like to talk about the weather. They like to talk about Doug Moench, like all sorts of things.
Yeah, just boring old things. So I guess I want to open up with. So we're back with Menschcast. We are Mensch Watch. Sorry, I guess maybe it's a Menschcast too. Keeping an eye on our boy here. Back in 1982. I want to apologize because I clearly picked. We were doing some Moon Knight, and I'm not a Moon Knight aficionado, but I saw some cool covers, Bill Sinkeiwicz covers, and I was like, these ones look good, and they're probably the least interesting Moon Knight comics we could have possibly read, because I looked at 26 and I looked at 28, and they look wild.
You think it gets better? Oh wow!
Yeah. I think it gets a little crazier.
We gotta dip in at some point then, because
yeah. Well, this is wild in a different way, but like
these have their charm. Yeah.
Yeah. This is anyway. So we did issues 24 and 25, big old double-sized 25. I'd read. I'll take it back a little. Like prior to this, I did dip into Doug Moench's Moon Knight, but it was before Bill Sinkeiwicz started changing his style to more experimental and looser. Early on, he looks a lot like Neil Adams art, and he's often called a Neil Adams clone. And I saw it. I really saw it. But you could see him loosening. You could see him shifting from a Neil Adams into a Bill Sinkeiwicz. But in the comics I read, he hadn't made it yet. I think in these comics, it certainly has.
They're beautiful. In fact, yeah, this is the compelling thing about these issues. Like they're moody, they're gothic, they're noir. He picks interesting visuals. They're almost like symbolic. Like in the second issue, there's like they almost seem charged with like meaning, and like there's a thug that like this guy recruits these thugs in the second issue, and they're standing in the pool hall, and then like he reveals his plan, and his face just looks like almost borderline demonic, and it's radiating this kind of weird blue light. It looks really cool.
Yeah, I was thinking about the pool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're gonna talk about that.
The pool. Yeah.
Sure.
Such a weird way to proposition a bunch of thugs. I was like,
there's almost something. Just to get back to this, I'm not sure how to pronounce Sinkeiwicz. You're saying or Sinkeiwicz. I'll mess that up a lot.
Yeah. You go.
But so his art can almost be aggressively murky at times. Like it's like almost willfully obfuscated or difficult to make out.
This is and I agree with you there. And then other times he's very clear. Like this is for me. Okay, so I'm before I say this, I just want to admit that I haven't read his New Mutants run with Chris Claremont. After this, he goes over to New Mutants and he runs that joint for like 20 issues or so, I think, something like that. And it's probably very interesting comics that I've never read. But at this point, I think this is a Sienkiewicz sweet spot because his later work, even though it's really like on Elektra Assassin or something like that, it's very interesting to look at, but it doesn't strike me. It's not good comics. I don't know my eye doesn't know where to go. And with these, at least I know exactly where he's still classic enough as he's experimenting that I know where my eye can go, and I followed the story, and the images are, you're right, sometimes murky and often symbolic, but only for the better.
Oh yeah, that was meant to be a compliment.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
It's rare that I will find an artist that, makes me want to jump in and just kind of look up more of their work, but I definitely feel that about him.
Yeah. And then, but eventually, I think, in my opinion, some of his, like, I can't read his modern work. It's
diminishing returns. Yeah.
Yeah. Something falls apart. Like I see what he's going for. Actually, there's an episode of the podcast that James and I recorded about Vertigo horror anthology called Flinch, but we haven't put it out yet. And there was a story by Sienkiewicz, and it was easily the worst story out of all of them.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, just because it just wasn't interesting, and it's just very cartoony, and yeah. Anyway, whatever. These comics still suck, though. These Moon Knight comics. I think yes.
But and I think there's his art gives it a gravity, or just sort of like it elevates it to a point that it just does not belong. So that at times I'll bring stuff to the second issue, but there are times where I was fooled a little bit.
I see. Yeah. You thought it was they zigged when they.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be really good.
So the first story is the issue 24 is pretty. It's a classic superhero moral dilemma. Should I kill or should I not kill story? With femme fatale,
right?
And I don't know, like it's just like and like you said, like this art elevates that story so that it seems artful, but it's just very basic. I can see a lesser artist drawing this as well. There's nothing like Bill isn't required for this story, which isn't to say he isn't welcome. It's just like it's kind of beneath him.
Yes, I would definitely agree with that. There's I guess I wonder, like, had we read earlier parts of this, because this is Moench's character, right? Like, he's known for creating Moon Knight. He 1975 shows up in Werewolf by Night, and then he's a backup story in Hulk magazine for a while, and then it's just fan popularity. He gets to keep him. Okay.
But I wouldn't. And then they launched the series, and it's one of the first direct market, not one of the first, but it turns into like a direct market only comic, which is I think why they got so experimental at some point, because they could. This isn't on the newsstands.
Gotcha. Okay.
This
right. Kids couldn't just pick it, which is, you kind of pick up as you go along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it is his thing. But I don't. Early issues don't make this any better, other than maybe
but there's some conflict. I think this is meant to be sort of like a full circle sort of issue where apparently, so that this femme fatale killer is taking down mobsters, and apparently at some point in the past year, her son tried to kill Moon Knight, and she had to put her son down with like kill him, and now she's kind of gone underground and become mean, and is taking it out on the world. But I think maybe it's sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, taking it out specifically on gangsters. She's become the Punisher. She's going after the gangland leaders, but not just that, like individuals. She makes a point of pointing out, like, individuals in boardrooms and tax shelters, organized crime that has made itself legitimate. Racist grandpa. And and yeah. Anyway, that's all. Like she's gone mad in a very Punisher-esque way.
Definitely, and she even gives the whole sordid backstory with her son, which was a little over the top, I have to say. That's
fair.
Yeah, this mobster leader, like at the age of 14, like killed a girl and stuffed her body in a trunk because she rejected him, and then like everyone all of a sudden just he became a real ladies' man, and it's been the same ever since. And so at the age of 13, her son was given heroin by this guy, and then from there, free heroin, and then he becomes his enforcer because that's what people on heroin are good for.
Good point.
Yeah. So, and then within 8 months, they were calling my son a mad dog. But again, the art is so cool on this panel where it's like the needle is shining, and then you see a skull, and then there's some kind of werewolf creature. Mad dog, I guess.
Yeah, he's all skinny and fucked up, and I get and I'm not sure. You're right though. I did find myself thinking, I want to read these older comics. Like what the fuck is being represented here? Like, is it that her son became like a ritual? Like, because that looks like it's like he's wearing a wolf hat, like a ceremonial robe or something like that. Was he part of a weird fucking cult?
Right.
I wouldn't put that past Doug.
I wouldn't. That's true. That's like straight out of Batman Conspiracy, as we've seen.
Yes.
But I think it's just Sinkeiwicz just being expressionistic and just kind of like really just interpreting that visually. Yeah,
and the mobster Sindome. There's the image of him on the left hand side, and it's left facing, and then it's the mirror image on the other side. But it's not just the mirror image; it's the negative image, and it's just I don't know. It's just fair, and there's dead bodies everywhere. Like this is the dark underbelly, and you're just like, what an artful way of displaying that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like it's visually arresting. Yeah, and then followed by the image you were talking about, and then that bright pink. Who's doing the coloring on this? I don't know if it's Sinkeiwicz doing the coloring, but this bright pink evening sun, like behind these shadowy bars and stuff. This is oh man, some of these images are so arresting. But then you go over to his fucking. He's like Moon Knight, Mark Spector, who we haven't talked about at all yet. He's got Marlene, and she's just like I'm noticing a trend in Doug Moench's writing where women are fucking stupid and useless.
Yeah, that's definitely I think a hallmark.
Yeah, I think so. And yeah, she's just like, I can't tell you, and she's like pushing herself away, and he's ignoring her completely. No one's communicating. He's anyway shaking his fist for no reason. She's crying. It's like I don't know. It's like he abused her psychically. Anyway,
yeah,
good relationship.
She can't watch him, tear himself apart. I mean, I guess we should get into a little bit of like I just like you. I probably had even less experience with Moon Knight. So based on these two comics, I was trying to figure out what he does, and he's basically it's almost like Batman meets Deadpool, but the humor is unintentional. He's got multiple personalities. He throws like little discs instead of batarangs. He glides with his cape, and he's a former mercenary who's trying to change his ways. He doesn't kill anymore, and I think Marlene has something to do with pulling him out of that life, right?
That's what I gathered as well. I don't know, that all totally sounds right to me though. Like it's
got a cool name. Mark Spector. I like that.
Yeah, but he's also got Stephen Grant, millionaire.
Yeah. Yes.
And what was that other that guy? He basically like drives a cab. And
Frenchie.
No, Frenchie's his butler.
Yeah, Frenchie's his Alfred.
Yeah. It's funny, Moench will say, like, people often compare it to Batman, but I don't see the comparison at all. And you're like, what?
What?
But he's very different. Very different character. And he, like, fine he is. Like, but these are Batman stories.
Well, exactly. And I think that the idea here for sure is that it's trying to be a more hard-boiled Batman. It's cynical. It's streetwise. It's supposed to be, like, a little edgier, but it's just, like, shits the bed. Like,
yeah, this sucks. Like, I like, obviously I've expressed my preference for Doug Moench. I think these Moon Knight comics are kind of his worst comics.
Oh wow, okay.
Well, I don't know, like these are maybe I haven't read all of them, but like the early Moon Knight ones that I read were very much like, felt like 1970s TV cop dramas.
Mm-hmm.
Or Tales from the Crypt stories. Like they did have their own flavor, but but none of it's really exceptional, and like he did with Shang-Chi. But then that's the Paul.
We really should.
That's the Paul Galassi thing. Like that's off the chain. This is pretty shitty, and is elevated by good art, and then. And then, I think Doug gets a bit more metaphorical after this. Like, I think the purple prose Doug that we really like doesn't show up until he starts doing Batman in the late 80s. Or, like, he does Batman after this. Anyway.
Okay.
Some of those things aren't there yet.
Yeah, I feel like part of my interest in our Moench project is like I'm really hoping for that time that we see what his reputation is based on. We keep going further back in the past, and I'm waiting for it, man. I'm waiting for the good Moench.
Yeah, actually, okay, all right. So we got to do a good
exciting.
Moench after.
Yeah,
we got to do a good Moench after this, because I think you deserve it at this point. I think at a certain point you're going to think I'm pulling your chain.
I mean, I'm very entertained by Bad Moench, so it's not,
I'm
good with whatever, but
yeah, this is fine. Like it's very serviceable.
Yeah,
and it's very of its era.
Yes, and I think it was to do this in mainstream comics. I'm talking out of my ass. I don't really know if this sort of thing was done a lot, but it just feels like pretty fresh to take a darker look at superheroes in this era.
In we're 1980. Like we are 6 years out from Dark Knight Returns. What I think we're seeing here is pre-Vertigo.
Yeah.
Comics, and I think that's mostly because of Sinkeiwicz, but also because this book is direct market. And it seems that, and it's I think it's, I don't know if it's concurrent, but it's about to be at the same. I think it's concurrent with Frank Miller's Daredevil. I think that
right. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so this is in the air a little bit thanks to Frank.
I'm not sure actually. Maybe I wish I knew.
Or maybe
that
they're developing independently. Okay, that's cool.
I feel so. I feel yeah.
Well, I guess we'll put that question aside as something to think about as we continue to look at Doug. But
it's probably simple to solve. All we would really need to do is look at their careers side by side and see when Daredevil's published. I do think this is coming out at the same time though. But anyway,
sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah.
So to get back to this, to this comic, I think kind of the point of this issue is just to show like how Moon Knight, how far he's come, So now he has to police a vigilante, and so he gets into that moral conversation with his girlfriend, and this is like Batman would just fucking get this, like he wouldn't need to have this conversation, but he's like, oh, what if someone evil could be eliminated by allowing someone else to kill. And her big moment is just like, why would you settle for either? And she's crying because she's obviously talking about their relationship too somehow. But he's such a dope. He does the like Spider-Man palm punch, like that sort of thing. And he's like, that's right. There's no reason I have to accept either of the two evils. And he's so pumped up by this revelation.
It doesn't have to be a choice. Yeah, I know. I'm looking exactly. And then Frenchie, oh, we marked the chopper. She is ready. And you're like, what a shit show.
Yeah.
The time for hesitation is past. You're like, fuck. Yeah, it's you're right though. Like Batman would have already faced this moral dilemma in the past. But it is like, this is of the air, like, because she's an anti-hero. Like, I already alluded to the Punisher thing. I think there was a desire, definitely, and I think the popularity of the Punisher, which is probably, I think it's also coming to the fore right now as well.
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
And I think this is a Doug Moench trope at this point, because obviously Batman Nightfall. Denny O'Neil, incidentally, is the editor here. So I think they're both like, they're gnashing their teeth. Oh no, what about heroism?
Shit, yeah, I think you're right. That totally, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
It's also it's kind of a like Lily and Rose shit. Like and I just thought about this before we started recording, so I didn't really have a chance to go back and like try to fully flesh out what I know about this. But
Sure.
like in feminist criticism, and the idea that like women can either be like a pure Lily or like sort of like a temptress Rose, like a kind of fallen creature. And she, like, in this sense, she's a femme fatale, but she's a temptation for him to kill, and he's got to overcome that and kind of get past that.
Yeah, and that ties. Oh, that's interesting. The because she was a nun who thought she might have been an actress, and she was both. And I think that's how he describes her at some point when he's giving her backstory.
Yeah, because she's totally pure, and then now she's just a homicidal maniac. He's trying to talk her out of it, and so he has to like swoop in and try to, because he's like, she's gonna get killed in there. She walks into a mobster compound, and I love the mobsters. What the? It's some dame with a crossbow.
Everyone pauses unnecessarily, and that's like, to my mind, like Doug's in that in a way that I think that what separates him from Frank Miller. There's a lot of things that separate him from Frank Miller, but Frank, you would never have that scene in a Frank Miller Daredevil. Hey, it's a broad with a crossbow. Like, it would just no, man. Action is supposed to happen in these stories. Like, that's a pointless pause. It doesn't bring anything to the story. It doesn't tell us anything about characters. It's just like kind of a habit of the 70s, of just like having these scenes. I don't know. I just find that as comics become, I'm not going to say more modern, but as they change over time, they become a little more efficient in their storytelling. But this is old school.
Yeah.
And then she survives at the end. He just lets her get away, which is kind of like, that's the choice he makes, and this is supposed to represent how edgy he is. Yeah.
And I'd read that the art is like she had jumped in front of the train, but I think you're definitely right that she's jumping on the train. It's just like, it's not totally clear that she's stuck the landing.
I thought about your interpretation, and I like, her last words are, "I won't be returning to the church," and if it was that's almost a Grant Morrison line.
Yeah.
But then, like, obviously there's no body splattered, or he's not concerned about the fact that. So I think he's
not concerned. That's the big thing. Yeah, and just her dialogue too, and she's like, he could stop her, and she said this to him earlier, like when she's about to kill one of the monsters, and he's like, "No, let me hit him with my truncheon." She's like, "Oh, if you hit him with the truncheon, he's gonna wake up again." So she kills him, and then she repeats that line to him as she's about to jump. She says, "If you remember sooner or later, I'd only wake up." And so then he throws his truncheon away, and she's like, "Oh, thanks, Moon Knight. Don't worry, I won't be back." And then. So then she jumps to the train. I do think you're right. Like, it's that heroism thing.
Yeah.
Thus, you gotta leave the possibility of the femme fatale returning.
She doesn't, incidentally. I don't. If I ever get to write for Marvel Comics, I'm going to return to this particular character. That's nice. She's ripe to return. Who? Well, I guess, and so he stands there. Tell me, if a loser can never be a winner.
70 years old and coming back to
I don't know. There's been lots of Moon Knight has had a lot of Actually, Chuck Dixon wrote Moon Knight. I did not know this.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and yeah, it does make sense. I think it's pre-Batman as well. I mean, this is how it's like the tryout for writing Batman.
Oh, there's probably something
well
to
in
that.
the 80s or 90s. Yeah. Anyway,
can you write shittier Batman? All right, let's see what you can do on Batman.
Done. All right. So anyway, number 25.
Shittier Batman. Yeah. I got so excited at the start of this one, and I think I was picking up on what you said about the pre-Vertigo thing. And like in my notes, what I wrote down here, I said, I think we get to see some of Doug's real influence here. There's shades of Gaiman in this story of Knowles, this kind of world building. Gaiman would do it better, of course. That was like an early note I took. But I was very charmed. Like, so we got this guy Knowles. He's a veteran. Like, he's down on his luck. Everyone's out to get him. And like, just like the world doesn't care about his service. And he finally has his breaking point moment where this kamikaze cab splashes him, and a guy tries to mug him. And he's just as fed up and turns on the guy. But I liked how he really tried to draw on real world topics, even like a bit ham-fistedly. But there's that politician saying, "Hey, don't worry about the black vote. We'll just rezone this city if we have to." So there's I don't know. It was cool.
Yeah, I wrote that line down as well. I was like, oh man, some things never change. Fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird. So he's a delivery man, but he ends up delivering to some political gang boss. They're not mobsters, but they're the gang that runs the city essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
Who always get elected.
Cranston.
Yes. So his dad used to be something. This character. Who is this fucking guy? I didn't write this guy's name. That's how Knowles. That's right. Yeah. Sorry, Knowles. No job. Anyway, so he's first he has this argument, but like that's in 1977, or it's like this takes place over a course of like, what is it, like 5 years or something like that? He comes from Vietnam, and then he beats up a black guy, discovers that he's crime pays. I'm going to become mayor of this city, and then all of a sudden it's 1982.
Yep.
Or is it 82?
He's built his base of success, I guess.
Oh no, it's in 82 though. Then when he gets attacked by a black guy and it changes his life.
It all happens very fast after that. That makes sense, though.
Yeah. Well, yes. Fuck it. And it's stupid. Like, so 1977 is when he came. So it's 5 years later. And all he's been doing is delivering people. But all of a sudden he gets so mad and he's just like, it all comes back. All that judo and karate training from basic. Like, what? It's weird to think about. Like, that was Doug Moench's idea of what happens in basic training in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all. I was in the East and I learned Japanese martial arts, which have nothing to do with Vietnam. They're just all Asians, right? So
yeah, that's a good point.
Anyway, I don't know what is this story.
It's hard to. It would be hard to put to sum it up like that. I guess the story of political corruption, or just. It's another reflection on the idea of vigilantism, really, because this guy, he sees an image of Moon Knight on the paper, and then he's like, yeah, I'm gonna be like him, but like in reverse. Like I was a normal guy, and now I'm gonna become a killer. And so he goes to a pool hall, finds some thugs. I'm looking for 3 good men. Scratch that, 3 bad men. And the guy's like, well, if there's money in it, I guess I'm in.
But I might be your boys.
I love these thugs. They're my favorite part of this because he starts just rambling about it. He's like, first I need a jazzy name and a better costume. And Moon Knight, he's like a white knight, but also a ghost, right? Yeah, so you guys can be my ghosts, and I'll be the Black Spectre. But it's just they do not make any effort to dress up at all. Like, they're just. It's like when a kid wants to play with you and you're just humoring them, and you're just like, yeah, sure, like I'm part of this game, but like they like even he keeps calling them ghosts, but they have no reaction. It's so good.
Yeah, I'm looking at one of them right now, just like this bald guy smoking a cigarette, no facial expression.
Yeah.
Other guy's kind of smiling dangerously.
And
Their
he just
hairstyle changes. Yep.
He comes out in this like fucking medieval costume. Like it's like,
oh my god.
Yeah.
That
it's like
that one page image. Yeah. Now my loyal ghosts. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you just met thugs for hire.
Yeah.
Now they're your loyal ghosts.
Yeah.
I think another thing you can say about Doug Moench, he reliably gives you like a ridiculous, like shitty villain, and it's beautiful.
He really went for it, like what would be the opposite of Moon Knight? Like, and it's not even the opposite of Moon Knight, I don't think at all. But I guess he's dressed like a knight, but he's black, and he's the Black Spectre, and he's Mark Spector.
It makes sense to this guy.
Yeah, this guy, like, what is he? He's got a mace, he's got a ball and chain, and both of them are spiked. He's got like a dagger and a broadsword. I think he's got multiple knives in his boots.
Yeah, he's got gleaming black armor, like it's like heavy plate mail.
Like in a horse mane, and flowing everywhere, and you're like, Jesus Christ, like this is the coolest outfit.
Yeah, it's like part leather daddy, part like Black Knight.
You're like, what the fuck? And he's shining. There's these these fucking like energy beams flowing beautifully from his shoulder, just to unify the page, and you're like, fuck. Sinkeiwicz, mwah. And then he turns into Skeletor. Cranston will get this weekend vacation, and he just like robs this guy's house and steals his paper.
Yeah, he's like smashing his art with a mace. It's awesome.
Yeah,
I love when he tells the this guy's like the political boss, and he's like. He goes to shoot Black Spectre, and he's like, nope, cuts him with his broadsword. And then he's like, just tells it, go trash the joint as an example. And they're just engaging in like petty vandalism. Like one guy picks up a lamp and throws it down. The other guy picks up a stool.
Yeah, throws your office chair. I want to go back to that dialogue. It's like, go trash this joint as an example. Well, I beat on his face. What the fuck?
Yeah.
And then cut to Moon Knight doing the splits, and you're like, what? Oh, well, first Frenchie.
Oh, yeah, you get a sweet
police radio.
You get a sweet crotch shot of Moon Knight here.
Yeah. Schwack comes on in. His goon. It's so like these are the best goons because they're not even trying to be goons. They're not even trying to be more than goons, which is refreshing. They're just some fucking thugs.
Yeah, they're like, pay me, I'll show up, I'll throw lamps down.
Yeah,
not dressing up.
Not my first time, not my first rodeo, sir. $500, and I used to work for the Owl, so I work cheap. I don't know why the Black Spectre beats the shit out of Moon Knight.
He beats the dog shit out of him for sure.
Yeah.
It's like not even a fight.
Yeah, and he's just like, he's so fast. Knows his martial arts well. No, he doesn't. He hasn't done shit for 5 years.
He's in like heavy armor. Like
you're Mark Spector Moon Knight. You have like special pharaoh powers, and you used to be a mercenary, and you fight humans every night. It just makes no sense. He's just, Schwood, caught me again. I'm too slow.
Yeah, there's no justification for that.
Yeah. But whatever. It's his dark self.
I do like
battle.
Yeah, that's right. He just kind of froze when he's confronted with his own image. That's got to be it. Yeah. I did like this next page where they find Cranston, and they're like him and his cop buddy are like, what happened? Nothing. Who was here? Nobody. And then you see the guy's face, and he's all fucked up, and like his teeth are all broken. He's like, I ain't been beat. I never felt better in my life. And it actually looks genuinely cool.
Yeah, no, and there's that silent panel where the cop and Moon Knight are looking at each other, and they're like,
yeah.
No, it comes off pretty well. And it's yeah. It's like Moon Knight has a fucking nervous breakdown.
Yeah, it's a tantrum basically.
Yeah.
In front of his girlfriend. Well, his girlfriend's and she picks this moment to try to break up with him or like to have or talk about their relationship. Just pick your moments, maybe.
I don't think there's a good moment though. Like we saw, she's tried to talk to him in the past.
Yeah, he always does this. He goes out every night, gets in a fight. Never a good time.
Oh.
But he's literally bleeding out the side of his face in this particular moment. So
yeah, he doesn't look great. But she doesn't leave him alone. Of course, Steven. If tomorrow isn't too late.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, Frenchie. What did she say? She's like emotionally manipulating him after he's like come back horribly beaten by his worst adversary.
Yeah.
What? Okay, so then he goes out as essentially a bum to talk to some bums to get on the trail. What did? Oh yeah, that's shit. Sorry, this is when the metaphor bit comes in, like the.
Amazing.
Yeah, he's like, I'm just kind of like this ant. Oh, maybe I should just be. Yeah, sorry. Black Spectre. He's about to kill someone, but he's like hanging outside behind a fence, and he just sees an ant. And then eventually it's killed by a spider, and he's like, yes, I too must kill. And then a praying mantis shows up. Fucking amazing.
Yeah.
It's not even there.
It's a whole drama.
Yeah.
I like how he's like he's literally like building this metaphor. You know, the ant struggles all day just to haul his dinner home. It's this huge extended metaphor. The city's one giant anthill. We're all ants stuck here trying to make a buck, bring back the bacon. So why should I squash a fellow ant? And then the spider like just crashes down and destroys it. But yes, how could I forget? Kill or be killed.
Yeah, and he's watching and he's like an insane person. Now, this is Doug Moench. This is something Doug Moench does. This is a literary technique for him, if we want to call that. I've seen this before. These like sort of these dialectical relationships between natural imagery and internal dialogue. I saw it before in like this exploration of the Bat Cave before it like goes over to Batman's internal thoughts. So anyway, I think it's a thing he gets up to.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, put her on.
It feels familiar.
Yeah. At the very least, it's I don't know, it's something to watch out for.
Yeah.
Menchism.
So because he saw the spider, he murders this other political contender, Kyoto, hangs him from a hook on his in his chop shop or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's on.
and by it's on we mean Mark's girlfriend breaks up with him.
Yeah.
and then he talks her, and I can't even fucking believe this. He was like, this is my worst adversary ever. I need you to get close. So it's like, I need you to go fuck with that guy I feel weird about. and he sends her off on some sort of erotic adventure, and also like spy mission to get the inside dope on this fella.
Starts working on his political campaign, because I don't know if you mentioned this, but yeah, he is still running a political campaign to get elected, and everybody loves him. He's and his whole plan is to like force his political opponents to back out of the race. That's why he's running around murdering people, intimidating people.
And not well, and spoilers. His grand fucking design is to have like super slush funds where all tax money goes to him. And it like these infrastructure, I don't understand. And they're like, that would never work. Like, that's a super villain plot. I'll admit that. That's balls. But that's not going to work. People are going to notice when the roads stop getting repaired.
I like when he just leaves the evidence of all this in his desk, and it's like the Simpsons like monorail episode where Lisa walks into the guy's office and like all his plans are just out there. Oh, did you see that? Oh, because it would be really bad for me if you did.
Fucking monorail episode. You have no idea how much I think about the monorail episode.
I believe it.
Monorail. All right. So, yeah, I don't. Frenchie gets the shit kicked out of him for some reason.
Yeah. Oh, because Mark sent him to go investigate, like, or to meet up with some contact, which happened to be at the pool hall where the thugs hang out. So they beat him with pool cues.
Yeah. And he's got like in Mark, and he wears the Moon Knight logo on a hat, like as a butler.
Right.
Yeah.
Subtle.
He's talking to this guy that's covered in flies, like.
Yeah.
I don't. It's fucking dumb. And then, but like, this is such a forced, because like Moon Knight's about to have the superest breakdown I've ever seen. He's like, he's beaten me physically, psychologically. He's even taken my woman. Like, what the fuck? You did this, Mark. You did this yourself.
Oh, speaking of which, this all builds up to his brilliant plan. And this is like the beat where Batman pulls it all together, fucking cracks the case, and like just like unloads on the villain. What Mark Spector does is call a shitty press conference where he shows like an artist's rendition of what the Black Spectre would look like alongside the face of this politician. And he says, I tell you, they're the same person. And then the press starts asking for evidence. And and he also has his cop buddy there, like standing beside him, like, you know, and his cop buddy, like, he's just blindsided by this. And he's like, well, and they're like, no, like we have no evidence. Like, nobody saw him. Cranston won't talk. And just Moon Knight just has this like tantrum, like, I'm telling you, he's this Black Spectre. And he has forced to, like, you know, the cop is like, shut it down, like, we're done here.
Yeah, completely ineffectual. And then like the girlfriend's like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
Yeah, it's a libel suit at the very least.
She's working for Knowles at this point. They're both looking stunned at the television.
Yeah.
She's like, I guess, I don't know that guy.
At least they like Mensch acknowledges that libel is a possibility. The guy, he's just like, I'm not going to dignify this with a response.
No, and he's about like, yeah. And it just goes to show, like, in that moment, like in his moment of public relations failure, his girlfriend's like, sure, Mr. Knowles, I'd love to go for dinner with you. And it's just like, so then, but yeah, secretly he's just pulling all the strings behind the lines and getting Moon Knight wanted by the police.
That was interesting. Another connection to Batman Conspiracy, this idea that like there are cops out there who just like wear the badge, but I mean, I guess it's really just sort of like the idea of corrupt cops or cops on the take. But there seems to be like more to it. Like just the way it's phrased, it sounds like there's some conspiracy. I'm a real cop. Some of them just wear the badges.
Well, because they can all these people can get to, right? Because this guy, like, you know, he's like, oh, you know that. How is it? I thought about this, and I was just thinking about how amorphous, this sort of thing. You know, what is it? And Chief, about that other matter, you know, the record's charging you that. ... Yes, well, I think I can take care of that for you. And the police. Some police are corrupt because they are also committing crimes,
right?
And they can be controlled because they can be blackmailed. Yeah, but it's not. I think in a modern context, we might have gotten something a little more like, because this could have been a traffic violation or the fact that he accidentally killed someone on the job or something like that. But I'm thinking about how like fucking McFarlane might handle this, right? Or not that he's of greater talent, but just like, you could go the low road. It could just be they're all pedophiles, and
right, the more cynical take that he would bring. Yeah.
Anyway, not that it's not cynical. It's extremely
no, because he's like, he makes a clear point to say like, not all of us are corrupt for sure, but you know, they can get to some of us.
I think it's required in system. It's almost required of the hard-boiled vibe that we're going for here.
Yeah, it's true.
And you'll see it, you know, like what is Batman's universe? What is Gotham City without that particular mythology? You like think of Batman Year One, like all the fucking cops are on the take and stuff like that. It's very, I guess, post Scorsese. Also, it's probably probably has some truth to it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's an element of a good crime story for sure. The sort of like muddied complexity of law enforcement.
Yeah. Anyway, and then Black Spectre kicks Moon Knight right in the back. It's fucking awesome. Oh, it's like, what a stupid he's just like, oh, Moon Knight doesn't see that I'm also on the roof. Let me get dressed up. Kicks him back.
That's another Simpsons quote. There you
go. Yeah.
Get ready to kick some back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Moonlight's ready from this time. Throws him off the roof with him, takes him down with them.
Just barely though, it's such an undignified win. Like he's been run through with a sword at this point, and then basically it's a suicide run. No, you're crazy, and that's the only way he wins is basically like almost dying with this guy.
Yeah, he didn't even use his you think he'd use his gliding cloak to ease his landing, But
no, just takes him right down. Takes him right down into a giant light, like a bat signal.
I didn't get the sense that I didn't really feel like Moon Knight knew what he was doing in this particularly. Like he just felt like some shitty wannabe hero.
Yeah, that's totally fair. Yeah, he is fucking clueless. He never has control of the situation in all of his decisions. Like
except for the final when his girlfriend decides, she's I'm back if you'll have me. I'll have you if you're back.
Yeah.
Damn, a grand romantic gesture there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You really took charge of that romantic encounter.
Yeah, well, Stephen, there are still problems we have to. I know, Marlene. There are always problems. But I can't think of any I'd rather face. You're like, you haven't faced a fucking thing, dude. You almost killed yourself because you're an idiot. Yeah, I'm kind of curious about where the Marlene relationship goes.
Yeah, but it could only be up from here.
Yeah, well, I guess this is the low point. This is the descent into Hades, and the emergence into the light. So,
but I feel this way about Doug himself. That there's always going to be problems, but I can't think of anything I'd rather do.
Now, all we need is a little energon and a lot of luck.